Once you open Photoshop, you're also going to want to open the Selection Coloring Book folder that you copied from my pickup folder in Poland. In that folder, there are 6 photos. We're going to use all of them for this assignment. So you can select all of them with a Command A, or you can use the click and drag method like I just did. Then hold down the Control key and click with your mouse, hover over Open With, and then slide over and click on Adobe Photoshop. Shortly, all photos will be opened in Adobe Photoshop. Now, we want to be able to see one of these at all times, and that's this one. And it is a little coloring book page of a couple of bunny rabbits. So look up here. It's just below my layer and select menus. May look a little bit different on your computer, but if you hover over it, it says Arrange Documents. And what I'm going to do, whoops, I missed it. I'm going to click on this one here that says 2 up. And what that's going to do is tile them so that all the photos appear in different places. Now, just like I did with the panels, I can drag and drop these. So I'm going to drag this bunnies over here to the right side, and I'm going to drag this tree trunk back, and you can see how it turns blue, letting you know that it's ready to be dropped. And I'm doing that because this is the one that I want to be able to see the whole time. Now, first thing I want to do before I go any further is I want to go into my Layers panel, and I want to go ahead and double click on this background layer of this bunnies. Let me get my move tool of this bunnies image. I don't know why that says tree trunk right there. This is bunnies. And I am going to double click on that, and what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to rename it and unlock it so that I can do things to it. Okay, there, now it's showing up correctly. I'm going to go ahead and move that back, or close that back for now. And I'm going to start down here at the bottom. You'll notice that what I have are several images, and these are all images of textures that show up here. So instead of actually coloring this bunny rabbit photo or coloring book page, we're going to use our selection tools and put these images in their place. Now, let me remind you that you can zoom in and zoom out with Command minus and Command plus. If you do a Command 0, it makes it the full screen that is available. So I'm going to start off by choosing my Magic Wand tool. And I want you to remember that you have this options panel up here, and this is very important. Right now my tolerance is set at 75, and I'm probably going to lower this a little bit, maybe to 25. And the next thing that you want to pay attention to is this right here where it says contiguous. If I make a selection down here in the area where I want the grass to go, notice how it actually selects everything, because it's saying, oh, well, she wants 25 as a tolerance, but she's selecting the white, so I can just select all the white. Well, if I hit contiguous, that means that it's only going to select the white that's next to the area that I am. So that selects a better selection of just this grassy area. Okay, so now that I know what options I want to use, I'm going to go back to my Move tool. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this grass photo. And be aware that I do have 2 different grasses. I want to use the one that just says grass, not tall grass right now. Okay? And I'm simply going to click on this, and I'm going to drag it over. And there it is. You can see in the Layers panel that it's right here. If I double click on where it says Layer 1, I can rename that Grass. Whoops, I missed the G. There we go. And this grass is awfully big at the moment. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And then I want to transform it. And remember, there's a couple of ways that you can transform. It's up here under the Edit menu. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Command T. And what I'm going to do is this. If you click on this chain link and drag, it is going to resize it and keep it in proportion. That means that the width resizes in proportion to the height. Okay, and that's only if you drag a corner. You can see that if I drag from a side, it still can go out of proportion. But if I drag from a corner, it goes in proportion. You can accomplish that as well if you hold down the Shift key while you do it. So I'm going to, I think I've got that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make sure that all the grassy area is covered, and it is. And so now I'm going to reorder my layers. I'm going to move the grass below the bunny's layer, and then I'm going to go back to the bunny's layer. Now, this whole assignment, you have really got to be aware of what layer you are on, because if you are not on the right layer, things are not going to work the way you want them to, and you may panic a little. So now that I'm back on the bunny's layer, I'm going to click on that grass, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can double check and make sure that I have all of the white areas selected. And I can see right here that I'm missing these two little pieces. So I can go here and do Add to Selection. There's also a keyboard shortcut for adding to selection, and that is to hold down your Shift key. And now I think I have it. So I'm going to zoom back out a little bit, and I'm simply going to hit the Delete key on my keyboard. And now you can see the grass through there. Now, if you found that when you hit delete that you missed part of it, part of the grassy area, I would suggest going back to your history panel, which we can move over here, and going back a couple of steps so that you can go and select the entire area. And the reason for that is, I'm going to move this over now because we're going to want to use this a lot now. Now, with this still selected, I'm going to go to the grass layer. I'm going to go to the Select menu and hit Inverse, and now I'm going to hit Delete from that layer. Now, if you look, see what it did on that grass layer? Only the part that's showing through this grassy area is there. The rest of it has been deleted. And the reason that's important is because we're going to be adding 5 more photos into here, and some may overlap where you don't want it to, unless we do that inverse selection and delete from there as well. Okay? So now that my grass is done, in order to make sure that I don't do anything like move it or accidentally delete more from it, I'm going to go ahead and hit this lock and lock that grass layer. Command D will deselect so the marching ants go away. You can also find that here under your Select menu. And I'm going to close that grass image, and I'm going to go to the tall grass now. And you can see here that there's, I don't know, kind of some bushes or tall grass. I'm not sure what it is, but that's going to be the part we select next. So I'm going to make sure that I am, actually I need to drag that over here first. Okay, and I'll rename it Tall Grass. And again, I'm going to resize it, transform it, and this one I may actually do a little bit out of proportion, just to make it a little interesting. And I don't want it to be too much out of the area of where that'll be. Okay, so that looks good. I'll move that below the bunny's layer. And here you can see that overlapping. Don't panic. Then I'm going to go back to the bunnies layer, and I'm going to use my magic wand. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to select this area, okay? And now I need to continue to add to my selection. So now I'm going to get this down here and slide over and get this area right here. And at this point, I think I've got all of it. I'm not using the flowers, okay, so I'm leaving those not selected. So I'm going to hit delete, and I see that I missed one little part right here. So I'm glad I did that, because now I can go back in my history panel. I can zoom in and slide over and add that area right there to my selection. Now when I hit delete, now all of that goes away. And then I can go to the tall grass layer, select inverse, and delete from that. And now you can see that this grass is back. That's not overlapping it anymore. So I'm going to Command D. Now you're going to continue to do this with the remaining images. Your clouds are going to be up here in the sky area. The leaves are going to be up here and up here. And then you are going to use the tree trunk for the trunk of both of these trees. The one thing that I really want you to be careful of, and you're going to have to experiment with this, and that's why I'm leaving you to do the rest on your own now, is when you select your sky, you're going to have to be careful of, whoops, see, wrong layer. You're going to have to be careful of what you select, okay, and your tolerance, because if you look here, that just selected everything, including that tree. So you're going to have to be careful of your tolerance and lower it extremely low to make sure you get the right selection. It's better to select too little at first and have to add to it than to select too much and try to take away. Once you finish adding the remaining images, you could hide your bunnies layer and see what each of those layers leaves on its own. You can also see a little thumbnail image down here, but you can see that they've been deleted on their layer. Now the last thing that you're going to do is on the bunnies layer, you're going to use the magic wand tool to paint the remaining pieces, and that's the two bunnies and these flowers. And they should be, the flowers you can paint any color you would like. You can paint them 3 different colors if you would like. The bunnies do need to take your time, because you can see that the belly is a different area than the rest, so it should be a different color than the rest of its body. Same thing here with the cheeks, so take your time as you go through there. You'll still want to use your magic wand and select the areas that you want to paint. And you will use the brush tool. And I want you to notice that there is a history brush tool, and that is something different. So make sure you have the brush tool. You can choose, like I said, any color that you would like. And up here, you can change the diameter as well as the hardness of it, so you can make it a softer brush stroke if you want, or a hard one. Okay, but you can increase the size so that you can get all of it painted fairly easily. And then you can continue on with the bunnies. And then you're going to finish with 2 bunny rabbits, differently colored but somehow related.